I don't really, it was last episode or the episode before we were speculating about Starfleet Medical having like a medical personnel oriented defense class.
Yeah, the Jujutsu Hypo Spray.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Where you're taught to wield the hypo spray like a batleth and just drop everyone within arm's reach.
Yes.
I thought it'd be hilarious to see like a group of new medical cadets on their first day, like going to this class, filtering in, taking a seat, and then in steps Core to our master as the instructor for the course. He's like, all right, you will all be equipped with hypo sprays. I will be using this batleth.
You know, that makes sense, because the Klingons would never use the hypo spray for medical purposes.
No.
They'd only figure out how to weaponize it.
It would have to be lethal.
Yeah.
Have to be. Even though, I mean, that would sort of be poison, right? Which is not necessarily a common Klingon tactic.
True.
Kind of dishonorable.
True.
Right?
True. Yeah.
Hey, but if you manage to poison someone in like a one-on-one, face-to-face battle, your opponent has a batleth and you have a hypospray, that's pretty honorable.
I think so.
Not bad.
I think it would pass.
Yeah.
Klingons have certainly done less honorable
I
things.
feel like that's Stovacor right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instant access to
Instant
Stovacor.
Stovacor.
Well, Nurse Chaplin's getting Stovacor, though.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Astro Max Show. I am Max, joined as always for our Trek conversations by my lovely co-host Will. Today we have returned to break down episode 9 of Strange New Worlds, All Those Who Wander. That leaves us with just 2 episodes to go. We're in the home run stretch.
Just one, right?
After this one and
Oh, yeah. I think you were saying.
2 episodes to discuss.
Counting this.
Yes. It ranks overall pretty high. If I was going to list the 9 episodes of Strange New Worlds I've seen, this is somewhere near the upper tier.
Yeah, it's in the upper echelon there. I liked it too.
I did have some issues with it.
Yeah,
well, those will come up as we get into.
There were a few.
There were some faux pas,
Mm-hmm.
but overall, really enjoyable episode.
Yeah.
And I want to talk more about this vibe, this Ridley Scott vibe, as we're going to refer to it as, that they brought up, because this episode was light on canon, but heavy on canon if you look at just sci-fi in general, because this Alien and Aliens being classic sci-fi.
Chest bursters.
Yeah. For Star Trek to just pretty much copy-paste.
Just clamp right onto that idea.
Yeah, how enjoyable.
No, I thought
two classic sci-fi franchises sort of merged together.
And it worked very well.
It did.
It did work very well.
It really did. And they even things like Sam Kirk having just losing his shit
worst time
all over the place.
Worst day. Yeah.
It still fit with, I forget the soldier's name in Alien, Corporal something or other. It's like, game over, man! Game over! I was like, hey, Sam Kirk's doing that.
So apparently, one crewman sort of losing their shit and freaking out is pretty necessary in any Gorn episode. Last time it was Ortegas.
Yeah, it was Ortegas in the last one.
Right, and so this time they're like, well, we left Ortegas behind, so who's it going to... It's going to be Sam Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be the mustache.
Sam. Oh, Sam.
Yeah, so I found it appropriate. It still annoyed me a little bit, just because we had been wanting Sam Kirk and more of Sam Kirk's screen time and development. It's been on our wish list several times.
Yes.
Right?
When we were still doing wish lists.
Yes, and to see him kind of have those moments where you kind of could get a little more time with him and have him just be completely freaking
just
out.
Just an ass.
Just an ass hat, just yelling at people. And I was like, I don't know if I like that choice.
Yeah, so 2 things about Sam's character in this kind of annoyed me. One, after how many episodes of not even bothering to mention Sam, he finally gets to go back on an away mission after he gets electrocuted in the second episode, and this is kind of his response to it. And I get it. Like I said, it's a trope of this particular type of sci-fi.
Yeah.
But the part that really got me is he's just there to antagonize Spock so that we can have yet another oh so wonderful conversation about Vulcan emotions and repressing rage and do you feel anything?
Yeah.
Because we went a whole episode without it.
We did.
So it's every other episode now. We have to have some exposition.
Hey, at least you're getting
Spock.
breaks. At least you're getting some breaks.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And see, I thought Sam Kirk, and this was very naive of me, but I thought he was being brought along as the third red shirt. You know?
They were just going to kill... They were finally just going to
kill him
do
or
it.
severely maim him, you know?
Yeah. Give him some kind of character trait other than a mustache.
Yeah, so but they set it up in Pike's, they're doing breakfast in Pike's quarters, and they're having that little sort of ceremony where Cadets Uhura and Chia have finished their rotations on the Enterprise, and Ensign Duke gets his promotion.
Yeah, we'll get to Duke.
We'll get
to Duke.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I thought, so Pike... They get the priority message from Starfleet being like, no, we need you to go see what happened to the Peregrine, you know, because we've had no contact after their automated distress call. And so I felt like that the whole sort of red shirt roster was being built in this scene.
Okay.
So I was like, you've got the two cadets. Uhura obviously is not going to die.
Right, but you have the cadet you've never seen before.
She's dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, she's going down.
She's going down. Lieutenant Duke, obviously...
Don't know who you are.
Don't know who you are.
You're going down.
Yeah, you've got maybe a 15% survivability in this episode.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well...
And then Kirk. And then Sam.
And then Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, so this is your meat shield, basically. That's what they're being brought along to do.
Yeah, I could... Why isn't Sam a red shirt? Like, he should just show up in red shirt scenarios, be injured, and then just be fine in the next episode.
Yeah, well...
And just don't even explain it. Your Strange New Worlds is fine with explaining so little.
Yes, sure.
Like, they give two craps about explaining a lot of stuff.
Right.
So,
I mean, I get it. I mean, I do get it that you can't have that be recur enough where it becomes just like a running gag. I mean, I'd be fine with it. I'd be fine with it too. But I also feel the urge to resist that, you know.
Well, it doesn't have to be every episode, right? It's just
but often enough.
It's just the away mission ones.
Yeah.
Like, if there's one thing Strange New World needs, it's like 1,000% more Pike cooking, and also 1,000% more making Spock do the dishes.
That was fun.
that was great. Mm-hmm. Those kind of interactions, particularly involving Pike, I feel we don't get a lot of them. And in other Treks, it's been, Picard sitting in his ready room, and officer walks in and.
Or those moments where he's having tea with Beverly, breakfast with Beverly.
Yes, yeah. You get moments where the captain can be the captain to the crew. Yeah. He can provide them inspiration. He can provide them, morality. He can just really kind of be like, hey, I'm the glue that keeps this whole thing together.
So he maintains that sort of air of I am the captain, and yet still in those moments he's allowed to be human as well.
Yes.
Which is where he's not just this authority figure,
Yeah,
he kind of fills in colors.
And Pike's kind of all over the place in terms of how frequent he's in episodes. Like, he's in almost every episode. But in so many episodes, he's really just kind of there. He does some witty things. And the episodes that really focus on him only focus on him. Mm-hmm. The episodes that don't, involve him, like last week's episode, the Elysian Kingdom, totally didn't focus on him. The episode prior to that with the pirates, the Serene Squall, Pike was there.
Yeah.
Very little development in his character.
Right.
So just this quick little breakfast scene did a lot for me anyway, to give me a sense of what Pike is about, what his leadership style is.
Yeah, I enjoy those scenes too,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's a good. It was a good sort of tactic to have him interact with his crew in this way. I like that.
I I did think it was funny that the only person they looked for when they got the Priority 1 transmission from Starfleet, that like, we're going to have to go on a different mission. Like, well, where's La'an? But, you know, none of the senior crew were there except for Una at that breakfast. Right. Mbenga wasn't there. Hammer wasn't there.
Mbenga was there.
Later.
Oh, right.
He shows up later when he's eating. Yeah. But just the cadets' graduation breakfast, I thought it really amusing that outside of Ortegas, like, nobody cared to go to the cadets' graduation.
They were on shift. They couldn't get away. They were on duty.
Hammer's like, oh, nah, I ain't going to that.
I'm good. I'm good.
Issue number 1 I have with Duke.
Okay.
Issue number 1 I have with Duke. One, and this is the big one, this show has a pretty big cast. And I have struggled to really feel like they've developed these characters enough. The characters I want aren't getting enough screen time.
Yeah.
And that includes pretty much all the characters. But they still are always... They insert a lot of characters. Like, they were doing it with the transporter chief for a while. And, you know, in this episode it was Duke. Like, they're just manifesting these characters to eat screen time and then do nothing with later. And, like, you don't have time, Strange New Worlds. You only have 10 episodes. You know, you have 10 hours. You really want to spend 10 minutes in this episode with Duke? And then the other issue is, because Duke is so incompetent, like, Duke is literally the worst. It really makes me wonder what Pike's criteria for promotion is. Like, how did Duke become a lieutenant?
I mean, these are all valid questions. My first read on the Duke character was, I knew kind of immediately, or I suspected heavily, that he was going to be a Redshirt who died in the course of the episode. But I also felt like this introduction of him as like, oh, I'm getting promoted, and then his subsequent, you know, I'm injured and I'm sending Spock to go get medical supplies on the ship, you know, when they're on the Peregrine. Yeah. And my feeling was that they were just trying to just sort of slap a little paint on, right? So that when he died, there was going to be just a little bit more sort of emotional depth to what the audience takes from that scene.
Fair.
You know?
Yeah.
It wasn't just, oh, he's, you know, Operation Meat Shield.
The Operation Meat Shield? Yes. That gives some images.
It does, and this is kind of how I'm thinking about it.
That's a valid point.
Yeah, but I also, so with that being said, and probably I feel like true, I also feel like I'm more weighing in with your argument here. It's like, well, there's not really time.
And
there's not really time. And with those few sort of, you know, slaps of paint on this guy, I don't care enough that you should take the time with it.
Yeah. Especially since later on in this episode, you do have an emotional death. Mm-hmm. I didn't need 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't get one in Duke. When Duke finally does get eaten,
If anything, you were
I was like, oh, good. We're done with that now.
I know.
That was my little tirade there.
That's fair.
What was it you want to talk about 20 minutes ago?
Pike's selection for this mission.
Yes.
You know, first of all, I question the allocation of resources here where he's like, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 shuttles, you know, as basically our resources for backup in this unknown, dangerous situation.
Right, we don't know what we're going into.
Yeah, we don't know. We know an entire ship has like lost contact after an emergency distress call was sent. And then, so we're going to take 2 shuttles and we're going to send the Enterprise on a delivery.
Yeah. Of course your flagship is a delivery ship.
Look, so the only sense I can see in this is if these batteries that the Enterprise is tasked with delivering won't fit on the shuttles. That's the only thing.
Well, do the shuttles go warp?
Well, so that's the thing. Are they warp-capable shuttles?
Later shuttle, DS9 shuttles, yes.
Right.
But, like, TNG shuttles...
TNG shuttles, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. So,
But
because
just
I
that's the
wanted
thing.
the same thing.
I'm racking my brains on Discovery right now, right? Because
Yeah.
that's where we're at in timeline.
Does Discovery have shuttles?
They do have shuttles.
Okay.
But do they go to warp?
Right.
I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
If they do go to warp, then it should have been switched around. Like the shuttle, just put the batteries on the shuttles.
Maybe the batteries are really big.
Yeah, they could be too big.
It could be too big. But because the Enterprise is already on a Priority 1 mission.
Yeah.
Because there's a station that if they don't get the batteries, like everybody's going to die.
Well, if support's going down.
Yeah. Which, bad planning. Like, seriously bad planning.
It was
if
not...
you don't have like a 2-day window on when you don't have life support.
Yeah. Or, like, where are the backup batteries?
Right.
I was actually glad about this when Hammer gets out and he's like, oh, this reminds me of the winds of Andoria.
That was excellent.
Love that.
And it was fitting that not that long ago we watched the episode of Enterprise where they go back to Andoria and you actually get to see the ice caves and everything they live in.
Right.
I had kind of forgotten that I was like, oh yeah. He comes from a very cold climate.
He does. And this is one thing that I've always wondered about with Andorians is like, how are they so adaptable? Unlike these other ships, they should just be like sweating buckets.
Yeah, the heat never seems to bother him.
Yeah.
And yeah. It's just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is fine. It's like 70 degrees warmer than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's fine.
Anyways, he really enjoys
his quarters are just a walk-in freezer.
That would be fantastic. You know, like Saru,
with a fan to just blow the winds on him.
You know, like in Discovery, you walk into Saru's quarters and it's got like this arboretum around him. And so definitely you walk into Hammer's and it's like this meat locker. That's fantastic.
He doesn't host many parties.
No, I would imagine not.
No.
Yeah. Our time bringing a date back there too.
Dating is probably not high on Hammer's list of things to do.
Well, that's really unfortunate because I would love a Hammer romance interest. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Oh man, the cheesiest pickup lines he could use would be like, "My function in life is to fix things, and your heart looks broken."
Oh my God. That's fantastic.
He could just egg. Oh man, if he had been in the background during Spock Amok at the bar, just like pick up people whose dates had gone bad. Come on.
He's like using his telepathy and has been like, oh, that one right there, he's just moving in like a shark.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, that would be great.
That's a very different Hammer.
It's a very different Hammer. I'm not opposed to it though.
No.
That would have been hilarious.
What's better than one chest burster?
We got four.
4.
We're smaller initially.
They're much smaller. Yeah.
We go quick though.
Yeah, they're like little tadpoles.
Yeah.
With big nasty teeth.
Yeah, and I love how like almost immediately one of the two burst out you see in this one shot, and almost immediately one turns on them and it's just like nom. It's like sorry bro, but I'm munching you right now.
Yeah, this sets up a weird. So we're here, so let's talk about the Gorn because this sets up a weird like species dynamic that I don't quite understand what they're trying to do with the Gorn.
Why they're telling the story this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I'm with you.
2 episodes of Strange New Worlds have dealt with the Gorn. 1, you never see the Gorn. But you see their ships. They're very sophisticated. You see the way they work together to hunt and to trap things. Very sophisticated.
Yeah, obviously highly intelligent.
Yeah. And the social structure is sophisticated.
There has to be.
Yeah. In this episode, the Gorn just eat each other. Like, so how does a breeding planet work?
Yeah. So
like, how did the first Gorn society develop? Because it would, based on this episode, like the first Gorn eggs hatch and one Gorn eats all the other Gorn, and now you have one Gorn.
Out of like 1,000 hatchlings, you're gonna get one who's like the most alpha.
Yeah.
Right? Who was sort of eaten and killed all the rest.
Yeah.
And it's sort of top of the heap at the end of this battle of the brood.
And I wonder if it's like I wonder if it's a conscious choice to just leave you in mystery about the Gorn, and like that's part of the mystique. So
It
that
could be.
as the seasons progress with Strange New Worlds,
Maybe we fill in the blanks.
yeah. Or if it's, and this is one of the things that's really frustrating about Strange New Worlds. I haven't identified yet if these are conscious choices or if they're just really not interested in explaining things.
Well, again, they only have 2 episodes, right? But I will say that with 2 episodes dealing exclusively with the Gorn, at the end of those 2 episodes, I am unsatisfied about how much I know of the Gorn.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I know, and not necessarily in a way that like I'm anxious for the 3rd Gorn episode. More in a way is like I should know more by now.
It's ridiculous that the Gorn can't outrun any of these people based on the speed with which they drug Duke, who was not a small man, down a hallway, and then the lack of speed they have in pursuit. Maybe they're only fast in reverse, for like bears.
Only fast in reverse.
Well, like bears can't run downhill as fast as they can run uphill. It's like.
This is such a great mechanic for the Gorn going forward.
Yeah.
It's like they're chasing you. They've got to turn around, just go ass first forever. All right, let's go with that because it's funny.
Anyway, because like they're zooming in and out of like their predator like heat-seeking vision, and they're like not that far away from. I think it's Uhura's the first one who like taunts them down the hallway, and then like she can outrun them. Everyone can outrun them, whatever. They get to Spock, and apparently they're no longer interested in chasing Uhura, and Spock tries to challenge them, and they're like, no.
Yeah, we're not buying it, bud. We're not buying it. This is where their emotional intelligence comes into play. It's the only part of the episode. They're just like, that's not real.
Like, that, no, you beta, not alpha.
I'm not buying that at all.
And it just sets up this very clunky,
where he's like
ridiculous.
The rage. I forget. I should have written the line down verbatim because it's interesting. It's like the rage inside of my soul, rage in my soul. I invite it into my heart.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't write. I didn't. Whatever.
I mean, it had a lyricism to it. I don't know why exactly we want that for Spock at that moment, but it's okay.
This seems like a Spock emotional thing that's going to set up future.
Yes, well,
I mean, oh God, I hope it's not the next episode. But we are due for another Vulcan heavy. Well, no, I don't know. Does this one count as a Vulcan heavy episode? I don't know.
No,
but we're due for another one.
I mean, that's like there's sort of a B plot right now.
Yeah, because there's like towards the end, he's like he unleashes this emotion.
Once he's invited it in,
apparently
he can't ask it to leave.
Yeah.
As easy as saying good day.
Yeah,
it's here.
I really enjoyed when Sam was yelling at him, but like they dragged Duke away in front of you. Did you feel nothing? I was like, yeah, less than nothing actually. Jubilation is what I felt.
I really, in that moment, I really felt like the appropriate response from Spock would be to slap the shit out of Sam Kirk.
I agree.
That's what I needed out of that moment.
Yeah, so he like taps into his rage and he like starts running down the hallway like he's. And for a minute, I was like, "Oh, cool. Is he like gonna go do like? Is he gonna one-on-one a Gorn baby?"
No, I mean, he's about to get cornered by 2 of them.
Yeah.
Right? But they move him out. Sam Kirk saves his life. Is like, all right, gets him behind the door. And as soon as that's like not an option for either Gorn, the Gorn are like, let's fight.
Yeah. Just eat it.
Right. So now there's 1 Gorn to deal with.
Now that they're down to 1 Gorn, they're trying to use the environmental controls on the ship to drive the Gorn to engineering.
It's La'an is the bait actually, right? So she's baiting them,
right?
And then it's some coolant pipe right above where she's gonna hide.
Yeah, they have like these pods set up underneath this coolant pipe. The like La'an's gonna run, jump into it, close the door, and then Hemmer is in another pod adjacent, and he's gonna like press the button to. They're gonna like cryo freeze.
It's like liquid nitro or something.
Yeah. And
turn it into a popsicle.
I know that sounds like a really simple plan, but it's not, because Gorn don't fall for simple traps. This one is very complicated because the Gorn fall for it.
Yes.
They freeze the Gorn and then shatter the Gorn.
She has a moment.
Yeah, she takes out some rage on it, which I understand.
Yeah.
Part of me was like, no, take the Gorn back with you. Study the Gorn. You have a real good opportunity here to like do some science.
Right.
Because remember how you said a few episodes ago that the next time the Gorn show up, you're going to be ready for them. Spoiler alert, you're still not ready.
No, this was the episode in which we test Pike's assertion that we'll be ready for the Gorn.
Yeah.
And then, 3 crewmen later, I think we've disproved.
3 crewmen later, 3 baby Gorn.
4 baby Gorn.
4 baby... Well,
no, they take
3, because one of them dies.
They only deal with 1 in the end.
True.
The other 3 take care of each other.
So, 1 infant Gorn challenges the most of the command members of the flagship. Yeah. Good start. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're totally ready.
So I do understand where she takes a bat to it and just shatters it, but
it scans for her.
Yeah, it does. Earlier, Hemmer gets exposed to the Gorn juice.
The goo, yes. It's like very soon after he sniffed the blood on the air.
Yeah.
In that weird way he did.
Yeah.
They encounter one of the Gorn wanders into engineering, spits the goo at him, but before he can follow up with eating him or Uhura, I guess, Lon shows up, like blasts it a little bit, and it runs away.
Okay. I think I was a little fuzzy on that whole sequence.
Yeah, that's how it happened, and then.
So I'm like, okay, well they defeated the Gorn here, but this episode's got to be getting close to over. So next what they're gonna do is they're gonna take Hemmer back to the Enterprise, and they're going to scan him, and they're going to analyze him, and they're going to figure out, more about how the Gorn work and how they're evading their scanners and blah blah blah, and like.
But no.
And then the season will end with like, hey, we finally have our weapon against the Gorn. Good timing, because boom, more Gorn ships, and then boom, end season 2. Here we go, or end season 1.
Right.
Season 2 picks up fighting the Gorn. Turns out, no, they're just gonna kill him off.
Yeah, he's just gonna jump out of the ship.
Yeah, which, dude, Hemmer goes down like, just, what a badass.
No, yeah, that was an epic sequence.
At no point during that episode did he start complaining about being infected with the Gorn or being like, hey guys, stop what you're doing, come take care of me. He's like, nah, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
I'm not making it out of here. Yeah, let's finish the mission.
Right. He's like, you know what? Because it's discussed, too, that there's different incubation rates in different species.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, I know my own body. These guys are coming out.
Yeah.
Right? So...
he had just enough time.
He had just enough time.
Yeah.
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 And then his sort of goodbye sequences with the crew.
They were good.
They were good, right?
They were good.
They kind of fell into 2 different camps, with Spock and La'an being very sort of cold and being like, I respect it.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, yeah, it's very logical. This is kind of the only play. Everyone else is like, no, there has to be another way. We can get you scanned. I know that hasn't helped yet so far at all, but this time it will work.
This time will be different. Yeah, I really liked the ending with Uhura, and I really liked all of their conversations actually, because this episode starts off with like Uhura's log, and she's talking about how everybody fits in on the Enterprise, and this is the culmination of all their dreams, and I don't know where I fit in, and you know my reaction to all of those.
I do.
But all of her conversations with Hemmer, I feel like that's good Trek character development. It's not monologuing endlessly about however you're feeling. Mm-hmm. It's like, grab a Raktajino, go over to Quark's, sit down with one of your other officers, and just like hash it all out.
Yeah.
And that's a scene that plays out in every Star Trek. Mm-hmm. In Strange New Worlds, they're mostly like walking around corridors or setting up traps for the Gorn, or
there's a monologue running in the background somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But his way of talking to her and like breaking down her, like, it's not that you don't like relations with the people, you're leaving first before they leave and hurt you. Yeah,
which hurts less.
That I get.
Yeah, it's like that's the option that's going to hurt less in the long run.
Yeah.
Right? But you're depriving yourself of the greater part of the joy and, community that these relationships could bring you if you would let them.
Yeah. So, and I hope that also brings some conclusion to that particular story arc.
That's the way I felt the episode left it.
Yeah.
Right? It was like that speech she gave during his funeral was like, you fix things. The unspoken thing was like, I'm fixed.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm committed now to.
And one of the parting, like the button sort of on the whole episode there was her. That was the last scene. The last shot was her coming onto the bridge and really sort of staring down her station.
Yeah.
She was like,
"This is where I belong."
Right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Maxx Show. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking us out. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe, give it a like, ring the bell for notifications. You can also find us over on Facebook. And if you also have interesting articles that you've come across in your Star Trek fandom or just random thoughts you'd like, please feel free to leave it in the comments, or you can email us at astromaxshow@gmail.com.
Send us mail.
I've been Max.
I've been Will.
And we will trek you next week.